Yesterday, Chris, I can't remember whether you said this on the air or during a break, but there was a question that you raised about comments from Bears coach Matt Nagy on Monday during his press conference where even though he's made it clear that Andy Dalton is the Week 1 starter against the Rams on NBC's Sunday Night Football, the door may be open for something for Justin Fields. So I went yesterday, found the press conference, all, or at least most. They don't, and I don't mean the Bears, most teams will post all the press conferences on their website unless it's something unfortunate, and then you never see it. This one did end up on the Bears website. And the question was kind of vague and generic, and Nagy went.
Yeah.
But he eventually, without any prompting, without anyone interrogating him, he eventually said something, and I agree with you. I think it may open the door for Justin Fields to do something come Week 1. Let's hear what Nagy had to say.
We like what he's doing right now with the ones in practice, and I think that's what probably makes us feel good. But we also like where Justin's at and seeing him grow, and so that's what we got to kind of talk through here these next couple weeks.
So the he at the beginning is Andy Dalton, obviously.
Right.
They like what he's doing with the first-team offense, but they like where Justin Fields is at and seeing him grow, so that's what we've got to kind of talk through these next couple weeks. Well, if it's all resolved, if it's all settled, if it's all decided, there's nothing to talk about. That's what was so strange about that comment.
Agreed.
So kudos to you for catching it.
Thank you.
And now over the next couple of weeks, I guess we'll find out what the hell it means.
I mean, I guess we will. You know, first off, I am one that kind of believes, first off, we've had a lot of conversations here. Justin Fields, I would start him Week 1. I know it's scary, and it's the Rams, and they're a great defense, and it's on the road. But I do feel like they could manage him, play a defensive struggle type of football game. Not, hey, it's 3rd and 14. Hey, we're not going to try to throw it. We might just run the ball, run a draw. We're going to play. We're going to let our defense, kind of hold the Rams offense do that. I think they're capable of that style of football. There's no doubt. But, of course, I'm not there every day at practice and all those type of things. And, to Matt Nagy and what he is saying, I mean, I think it is a tough environment for a rookie to go in. Nonetheless, though, Mike, I feel like, if that game doesn't go well, I think we're going to see Justin Fields maybe the next week start the football game, and still would be shocked in Week 1 if they don't have a package of plays for him, just to get in the game, feel the speed of the game, and maybe have a few schematical quarterback runs or something like that to mess with the Rams and keep them on edge that way. So I would be shocked if he's not at least involved in Week 1, and I still don't think I'd be shocked if they finally just pulled the trigger here and made him the starter for Week 1. I would not.
And again, this was a comment that wasn't something that happened under any type of duress or they had him on the ropes and they're drilling down to the truth. He just kind of blurted it out. And sometimes those long answers from coaches will result in something getting added that maybe in hindsight the coach wouldn't have wanted to say. But Chris, I agree with you. They could be getting ready for Week 1 in some sort of a capacity where he comes in like a Taysom Hill.
Yes.
And has a drive here, a drive there. And if the Bears can balance that into their overall offensive repertoire, it helps Andy Dalton because it dilutes the amount of time that a given defense has to prepare to face the Bears offense, because you got to be ready for Dalton and you got to be ready for Fields.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're right. It gives them a little advantage of that for the defense, the other team to have to worry about two different quarterbacks, two different styles, two different thought processes for the front seven when each quarterback's in, all those type of things. They'll have different checks for when Justin Fields in because they will be worried about the quarterback runs and all that. And, ultimately, Mike, the big picture is they just want to get him in because he's going to be in at some point during this year. I mean, I would think it's going to be, earlier than later for sure, especially the way it's looked so far in training camp. I mean, Justin Fields belongs. He throws the ball better than I've given him credit for coming out in the draft and doing those things. And you could see the athleticism's real. So I just have to me, it's really just a matter of time. And I know there was that promise, right? I always go back to that. I know he promised them. And I know, again, Matt Nagy's, from everything I hear, is a really good guy, a good communicator. But you did promise your team you'd try to go out and win football games too. That's where you got to balance it. And if they're seeing Justin Fields doing what he's doing every day or every preseason game, so far. And then he's also putting together good practices where he's right there with Andy Dalton. Maybe not everything's perfect on a day-to-day basis with the checks and things like that, but it's close, and he's making his share of plays to where the guys go, wait, on the field in preseason games, he clearly looks like a notch above Dalton. And then here in practice, it's real close too. So I know Coach promised him, but, for us in the locker room, the players, damn, this guy looks like he's better, the first-round pick. Maybe we need to play him. Maybe he gives us the best chance. And that's where I think it's going to get real antsy, and I think Nagy will feel the pressure of not only the fan base, but if things don't go smooth with Andy Dalton, he's going to feel the pressure and the clamoring in the locker room because I think they're excited about what they see the players in Justin Fields.
Critical point to remember for any of these quarterback competitions, what the locker room thinks about it. And all the players were there on Saturday as former Bears starter Mitchell Trubisky torched Chicago while Andy Dalton did very little until he made a nice throw on a 73-yard catch and run, dropped it in over the defender's helmet. That was great. It was 28-0 at the time, though. Hard to erase the memory of it getting to 28-0 before Dalton finally wakes up. Point that I made earlier in the week. We, in hindsight, think Pete Carroll did this really brave thing by going with Russell Wilson week 1 of his rookie year. No, the brave thing would have been to stick with Matt Flynn because everybody knew that Russell Wilson was the guy. And if everybody in Bears camp knows that Justin Fields is the guy, very hard to make that promise last much longer than the first drive of the game against the Rams.
Yeah.
That's the key. You're going to lose all credibility with your team. You may lose some credibility with Andy Dalton. You're otherwise going to lose all credibility with your team if the kid who just got drafted is getting it done at a higher level than Dalton.
Yeah, agreed. So I don't know where this goes from here. I mean, I don't know if they'll have the guts to pull the trigger and start Justin Fields. But again, I think where I lie is it's a very short leash for Andy Dalton with the rate of success we're seeing Justin Fields have on the field, how he handles himself, in front of the podium, all those things. The players are seeing that. The organization's seeing it. I'm sure coaches are starting to say things to Nagy like, man, this guy's he's so impressive, isn't he? Man, what a leader. Giving them clues like, man, the guys in my room, the running back rooms, they love Justin Fields. Man, Justin's, he's got some way about him. He's charismatic. That starts to permeate through a whole organization, and I feel like that's the way it's going there in Chicago. It has that feel, and of course what he's done on the football field and the way their team is built. Again, I will go back to that point. I think they're better built with Justin Fields at quarterback than they are at Andy Dalton. I think they're better off playing almost let's manage Mitchell Trubisky mode, but Justin Fields is the quarterback. We're going to run the ball. We'll be careful with some passes, bootlegs. Of course, you can have a more extensive quarterback design run playbook with Justin Fields because he is built like that Greek god we've talked about. I mean, he's built like a running back. He's going to be able to take a little bit more pounding than your normal everyday drop back quarterback there. So when I look at it from that angle, and I know it's still a hostile environment with the Rams and the new stadium and all those things too, but man, this guy's played in a lot of big college football games, and I do think they can manage him the right way to where they could be very competitive and be a pain in the butt for the Rams week 1 if they do start Justin Fields.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.